What is up, cinephiles? Welcome back to Screen Kings. Today's video will be doing a non-spoiler review of the musical biopic Tick Tick Boom, directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and it stars Andrew Garfield portraying Jonathan Larson, a musical wonder slash composer who's on the cusp of his 30th birthday. He navigates through this quarter-life crisis as he tries to juggle love, friendship, and his career. And what better way to be joined by a friend who's also into musical theater. So I think this will be a fun discussion. Welcome to the channel, Florentina from Florentina Faconti Reviews. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I've been wanting for us to collab now because I've been needing for that female energy in my channel. So I think we're going to love this because I love musicals myself, but I need to hear first from you because you've been doing a lot of musical theater reviews, so I'm curious to know what you think about this movie.
I absolutely loved it. I didn't really know anything about it before the film was announced, so this was like a hidden gem for me as well. I didn't really know much about Jonathan Larson either because I've literally only just watched Rent this week. I know, like a fake musical theatre fan. But I loved it. It was such a surprise and something that I just never experienced before.
I tried my best to watch Rent, but I didn't find the time. But as you said, there's not really much references here, though I've noted some of the cameos here, which I'm not gonna divulge, so you guys have to spot them as best as you can. For the life of Jonathan Larson, they focused on his roughest year. I found it resonating. I told you via chat that I'm really excited to talk about this because it's about quarter life crisis, and I don't know if you're there in yet, but I'm definitely at that particular stage. So yeah, I actually felt this more than in The Heights, which I really love. Another musical composed by Lin-Manuel Miranda. I'm just gonna say something. I didn't know that Andrew Garfield can sing and can dance. So in here, he's just filled with energy. It's electrifying and I can feel his performance. She's just pouring his heart and soul into it.
I didn't know he could sing. I knew he had it in him to play that kind of character because a few years ago he did a play at the National Theatre, Angels in America, and it's quite a well-known play, but it was a character that I'd never seen him do before, and I don't think he would have been able to do Jonathan Larson as well if he didn't really find a new part of his acting ability in that role in Angels in America. It was kind of an extension of that kind of sort of flamboyant character, larger than life. I was very surprised about his singing ability. He was really good, and I feel like he's kept that under wraps for years.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is apparently the project that he's been waiting for to showcase his other talents. And speaking of newfound talents, this is Lin-Manuel Miranda's first directing debut. I'm just floored by this theater prodigy because he does everything from composing to acting to singing to dancing. Like, wow. How did you find his directing? For me personally, the whole structure of the film, it's a bit unconventional. I would say it's a bit of a mess at times, but it's more leaning towards fascinating type of mess. So basically what they did here is they started off with a musical presentation, like a monologue, and then throughout the performance we go back to his past of him creating this musical called Superbia. Throughout the film we got a lot of bursts of energy, different genres of music. I would not say that it's more memorable when it comes to the soundtrack compared to Rent, but that's understandable because that is not the peak of Jonathan Larson's work.
I found it very interesting that they sort of took it back to its roots of it being a monologue that Jonathan Larson's just on stage with a piano and a band. I loved that they kept going back to that, so it kind of made it surreal those moments, but then it also went back to reality when it went into his real life, and having the narration over it of his girlfriend as well. That was really interesting contrast as well. I just loved the sort of chaoticness of it, and it just felt very Jonathan Larson. It just felt like a love letter to him.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so beautiful.
Yeah, actually at first I'm confused at how to put my footing on the film, but it's engaging all throughout, and maybe it's the right approach because it speaks about the creative process of Jonathan Larson's on how it can be messy. This one is focused more on pitching a musical, all the songwriting process. Like it feels a bit hopeless at times because you're feeling like you're doing something and you're not sure if you're going to make something out of it. That particular bit I resonated the most because like something we do like this, I would consider this as a creative pursuit. So this movie speak to me on that level and I was engaged all throughout.
I really resonated with that as well. The struggle of being creative. When you work so hard at something, it's always like, all right, what's the next thing then? Well, what are you going to do next? It's like when people binge a whole series that people have worked years to make and they're like, oh, okay, when's the next season? When it literally just came out yesterday. It happens so much in the creative industry, and you could really see how much work he was putting in and how much love he had for the craft. One of my favourite lines in it is when he introduces himself to someone at the party and he's like, oh, I'm Scott, what's your name? He's like, well, I'm the future of musical theatre, Scott. And just the confidence that he had despite all the adversity was brilliant.
Not only on that quarter life crisis creative pursuit main arc, this one has also not the most subtle, but it has on the background some themes about LGBTQ rights and HIV/AIDS awareness, fighting against right-wing government officials, which I believe that is also one of the themes in the movie Rent, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. The whole work, it just encapsulates all the restlessness of Jonathan Larson, because one character here would advise him that just write something that you know, and then he does something different and be like, I want to be the voice of this generation. So he keeps challenging himself and think of something creative. As one character would say here, Jonathan Larson kind of redefined musical theater. To see his legacy, that also works as a eulogy and a template for the aspiring young musicians and young composers out there. I think this is an important piece of work.
I watched Rent like the day before I watched this. I was so happy that I did because I saw the kind of mirroring in his actual life that would have inspired certain characters and would have triggered certain storylines in it. And he was very big on sort of telling the truth and not sort of sugarcoating it, dealing with things like homophobia, addiction, HIV crisis as well. That sort of stuff was happening in his life, not necessarily to him, but the people surrounding him. And it does really sort of resonate with that, write what you know. I didn't realise how relevant Rent actually was to his life.
So let's talk about the songs here. What song stood out for you? For me, I would have to pick the one, it's a duet. I've listed it. It's Come to Your Senses. I think that's the most remarkable segment of the film for me. It's a duet between Alexandra Shipp and Vanessa Hudgens. I think they did great in their roles, especially Vanessa Hudgens, because it's a bit odd to see her in a role that's just created for her to sing and not given really an actual storyline. So, but still, in her scenes, she still every scene. And yeah, I think there's also one memorable performance there. I forgot the song, but they're doing some mouth exercises along with Andrew Garfield, which is a delight. So yeah, do you have any favorites here?
I would say Come to Your Senses as well. That one really stood out just because of the context of it really blew me away. I'm not going to give it away because I was like, Oh my god, that's so clever what they did. Also, that one with Vanessa Hudgens, I can't remember what it's called, but it's very like extravagant and very odd. And I think people that don't like musical theatre would be like, what the hell is this? But it is very unique. Even musical theatre people would be like, oh, that's so weird, but I love it. And also the opening song, 3090, that is just such like a punch in the face, like, right, we're going on this ride together. It really like gets you on board.
Oh my god. There's a sense of impending doom to that song when you listen it carefully, and yeah, they just really show that this character feels like he's running out of time.
I just found it so tragic and very sad to watch because he is working so hard, but he didn't get to see the success that he made, all the awards that he won. I'm quite happy that they didn't explore that too much. And it was kind of an afterthought. This is how hard he worked and this is why he won all these awards. It didn't explore Rent too much because this particular musical, Superbia, was his main goal in life to get that finished. He was working on it for like 8 years. Everything kind of had its perfect place. I think I do need to watch it again, but it really blew me away.
But actually, let me go back to that bittersweet ending. At that moment of the film, I was just having these big emotions in my heart. Like, what should I feel about this film? Like, is it saying to me that sometimes even if you try and try so hard, sometimes you might end up not witnessing your greatest work? He did accomplish what he's set to do. Rent is one of the most popular musicals to this date, and I'm glad that they focus on Superbia because it's his lesser known work, but arguably his most important work because that is his turning point in his life. But then, do you consider it a win if you don't really get to earn the fruits of your labor? So I was a bit conflicted on that, but then again, I guess the movie just kept it real that sometimes things like that can happen. That before you achieve greatness, well, he did achieve greatness, but he wasn't just there to revel on the glory of his achievement.
Such a tragic story. Maybe don't take away that, like, if you try so hard, you might not see your success, because I think the people around him celebrated the success for him. He did have success in his life. He just kept working towards more because, like, he got noticed by Sondheim, which in the musical theatre world is insane. That's like the top, like next to Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Going back to Andrew Garfield's performance, this is a revelation because I have no idea that he can do all these things that he can do, and I felt like I've seen an entire new person from this character. I'm not well versed when it comes to his work, but I'm inclined to say that this is his best performance, that I've seen from him so far. All the singers involved in this film and the performances, and along with the friend here, I think he also has this relatable arc of being just pragmatic and just pursuing that's going to pay the bills. It's really tough to marry that passion and job, but it's okay not to have the same passion and job. So that one really came back to my mind. And at the beginning of the film, he's just stating this great musical icons accomplishing something at a certain age. I would like to reverse that thinking and just say that maybe you don't need to achieve certain things at a certain age. You know, we all have our time and pace. Anyway, that is something that we don't really know when it comes for us. As for the case of Jonathan Larson, it really comes at a poetic fashion. So, okay, I'm gonna give this one a 4.5 out of 5 for now, but honestly, I'm just convinced that I'm going to love this film even more after a second viewing.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. Just him constantly saying that Sondheim put on his first Broadway musical at 27. Well, not everyone's Sondheim. They were saying like there's only one Jonathan Larson. And even then in the musical theatre catalogue that we have today, there is nothing like Rent and the songs in Tick Tick Boom. He is so unique that he is just Jonathan Larson. He doesn't need to be the next Sondheim. And it is sad that he never really appreciated that. I really loved this one, but I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because I think I need to watch it again to really appreciate some more parts of it. I'd agree with like how it's a little bit messy at times. I think maybe the balance might have been slightly off at some points that kind of took me out of it, but I think that score will probably go up with a repeat watch.
Well, we're on the same page then, I would say. So, Florentina, thank you so much for guesting in the channel. Why don't you take this time to plug your channel, because you have a lot of things going on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I do TV, movie and theatre reviews. I do a little bit of everything, but at the moment I'm focusing more on the theatre side. So if you're interested in stuff like Tick Tick Boom and sort of musical theatre and plays, then come and follow me, because I'm constantly at the theatre, like pretty much every couple of weeks. So I've got reviews coming out for live shows in London all the time.
Alright, let us know what you think in the comment sections about this movie. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, hit that like and subscribe to me for weekly reviews of movies and TV shows. Subscribe to Florentina as well. Thank you so much guys for watching. Until then, we will see you on the next one.